This has been a hard couple weeks. I failed my nursing final. All my fault. I'll tell you why. Because I broke up with my partner of many years and I lost my job in the same week. A couple jobs in the same week. So that is scary. Now I have to start a whole new life with no support, no emotional support, no physical support, no financial support. None. So that's probably why I'm sick. Even though I've been boxing, I box as much as I can, at least once a week. But most recently, I've been going like maybe 3 or 4 times a week. So I do work out a lot, which is good. But for some reason, I could not focus. I could not focus on any of the content I was looking at. I would write it out. I would look at it. I would write. I could not focus. I could just absolutely could not. So, moral of the story, sometimes things don't work out. That's it. Sometimes things don't work out. Look, my tripod's bouncing. Sometimes things work out, but they might not work out the way that you expected them to. And people say that. We've all said that before. When so many things happen at once that affect your life so greatly, that just completely halts your life. Just complete jog. It's like everything you knew, everything that was routine, everything that made you, seemingly, was broken, shed, like a skin shedding, a snake shedding its skin. That's how I feel. The Ouroboros, the snake shedding its skin or eating itself. Here we go. It's always like this. So, sometimes you fail. Everyone fails. Even if you're a good student. Sometimes it has to happen. Maybe it's beyond us. Maybe it's beyond our... Maybe if fate is real, maybe it's fate. I don't know. This is a philosophical thing. I will never know. It's probably 50-50. I really don't know. So, all I know is that there are certain practices that I always come back to that always help me when I've been uprooted. When things have been uprooted, there are always things that I come back to. Yoga, on my mat, on the ground. Quitting coffee, maybe not completely, but a lot. Cutting it, good amount. Cutting certain people out of your hemisphere who may not be the best influence. Because it's really difficult to become centered when you have people that care about you, that you love, that do not reciprocate support. Okay? We've all had friends like that. We've all had lovers. Maybe we haven't. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that, because maybe we haven't. In my own personal experience, this is what has happened. Things that help me continuously are staying in my physical body, releasing my physical body, getting body work done, such that I'm a massage therapist, such that I am a yoga practitioner. These things I have been doing now for over a decade, almost 15 years consistently, and even longer. So music. The only reason I do not play music is because of where I live, because I've always lived in apartment buildings. If I lived in houses, I would probably still be playing music, because that's what I did when I was younger, to channel that life, that reflection, that life force, whatever that is. So back to the intended content and concept. Not that it matters. I don't even want to say that word. It's life. It's not anything. It's nothing but life. It's philosophy. It is all. It is everything that we all deal with every single day. Just that consistency breeds it's like it's almost like it makes room for other things to develop. I wanted to say bloom, but that's kind of corny. You know, it leaves space. So when you have control over your body, you have more control over your mind, first off. And when you tame the body, you tame the mind. So you become less reactive. You become less attached to you on this material plane. You become more these words are metaphysical, but you do become more aligned with like everything around you when you have control over those aspects. One, because you're not in a state of like fight or flight. You're not in this like fast fear-based place, which is talked about a lot in certain types of psychology and philosophy, right? So I guess failure leads to a discovery of the true self, because there's nothing left. There's nothing left to identify to. When everything else is gone, when everyone else is gone, when everyone, all these other people, me being a massage therapist, I work with all of these people who then become a part of me in some way, because I'm tied to their stories. I'm tied to their life. I'm an active participant in their becoming and their development and their healing. And so it's like losing those things. These past couple weeks have been so difficult, but losing those things has brought me back to this place of alignment with myself that I forgot that I had. Not that I've forgotten who I am, but it's almost like this is just what happens in relationships, you know? You get in these relationships and then you just want to be with them because it's so nice and it feels so good, and there's so much new to discover, and really, if you're a curious person, which I am, and you question things and you want to know more, there's so much to learn from people. And this stuff, like a lot of these things, I will never know because our lives are so filled with fulfilling these obligations that sometimes we don't have the freedom to venture down the interest road. Like we don't have time to explore certain avenues which might be of interest to us, but because of our responsibilities in this world, we haven't had that free time. So reeling in all of the different roads there. It's helpful to have time to yourself. I question if I could ever be in a relationship again. Period. I know it will happen. But the other person has to be so reciprocally aligned to your values and at a place where they can be willing to grow, be willing to see their actions. And it's like a reasoning, it's a skill of self reasoning. I don't know if that's appropriate. I don't know. Listen, I am not the smartest person in the world. I am not the most well spoken. I'm not. I'm not the most well read. I'm not. Okay? So don't come here thinking this person knows all these things, blah, blah, blah. I don't know anything. The only way that I learn is by talking out loud or talking to people. And sometimes we're going to be wrong. Sometimes we're going to fail. Sometimes we're going to have hard weeks. It's just this time of transformation, and it's really awesome. It's really, really awesome. On that note, I also want to talk about how strange it is that sometimes things happen in a way that seems to be too perfectly aligned. How is it that my whole life changes and something else from another part of your life comes back into your life? You didn't even remember it. And maybe it has no place in your future. It's totally possible that has no place at all. But it's almost like this personal trial, because you're allowed to then step outside of yourself and assess the relationships that you had when you were younger, when you were older, where you are now, what you want, what you need. Like I said, the consistency over novelty. I would have never thought that I would say that consistency over novelty was the way to go, because in truth, that's not true. In And desire, well, let's just say I'm an adventurous person. I like new things. I like new anythings. I like learning about everything new, all different cultures, different anything that's foreign to me. I feel very close to. I feel very loving of. I'm very compassionate about things I don't know. And things that are foreign. Things that... Anyways, okay. So. But what happens is that then you get lost in this like desire, this continuous state of like going and going and going and seeking and going, that you can't reconnect with yourself. Which is why that consistency becomes key. Because in those routines, you're able to refine yourself. You're able to refine your intent. And it's funny because when you lose your intent, everything else crumbles. And maybe not completely, but again, this is only my experience. I'm just talking a lot. I recently had an interaction with someone I once loved. And it's strange because you still love people, but you might not actually love them for who they actually are, because you might not get a chance to really see who they are, or they might not want to show that to you, you know? And it's not your fault. It's not a bad thing. We cannot I really have to think before I say it, because I'm figuring out as I'm speaking, you know? We cannot it's like disregard our value. We cannot disregard our value. Just because something doesn't align the way that we wish that it would. And the sooner that we can come back to these consistent disciplines, the easier it is to constantly be reminded of that one exact statement. Because that statement repeatedly shows its skin. And surfaces. Is there anything else I want to say? I know I speak really slowly, and I know it's hard for me too, but it does feel good to talk out loud. So, ooh, camera, don't fall. Camera, don't fall. Failure can be the gateway to freedom. Failure can be the gateway to freedom. Because when there's nothing left, the only thing left is you, and you, and you, and you, and me, and me, and me, and me. And what do I know? This is what I know. What I'm talking about, this is what I know. Yoga, that is what I know. These consistent things that I have created, that I have regulated, that are my tools, that's what I know. If I was a musician, if I was a guitar player, and that's what I always came back to, that would be what I knew. That would be my voice. That's not my voice. That's not my medium. That hasn't been my personal medium specifically. And that's okay. So I appreciate minimalism. I appreciate non-materialism as much as I appreciate materials. I have this personality that tends to feel more grounded when I have less. And when I have less, like when my space is organized, when I have fewer things that I own, when I have a smaller wardrobe, when I have things in order, for some reason it just clears my mind, it clears my space, and I can focus on those consistent practices and that rediscovery of the self, which is like, it's like this oscillating thing in life, you know? And it's so hard. I know you're like, I really don't want you to keep talking, but I do want to keep talking. I do. And love is hard, man. Love is hard. Relationships are hard. I think about having a future with someone, and I think, how is that possible? How is that possible? That I could be me, wholly me, fully developing, expanding, and recreating, and transforming me. And simultaneously, you being you. How is that even possible? For at least 18 years if you want a child. Very difficult. So these are the themes I'm speaking on because these are the themes that have recently disrupted my life. And they're pretty big ones for all of us. And I've been reading a few texts that, for some reason, it's just, reading is so great. It's so nice to see someone smarter than you having spent the time to write out their thoughts on this exact subject. So it's like, these practices also, here's the thing, the big part of this failure, of these losing these things, this total transformation, this, you know, this 90-degree turn. It's like there's so much fear associated with losing these things that we've come to believe ground us or define our existence. And in reality, they do not. We as individuals, define our own existence. Within the comfort of a community, yes. So that's why it's important to stay connected to people who make you feel comfortable, make you feel connected. People who do not limit your growth, your curiosity. And sometimes those people are people that we once loved. Sometimes those are people that we once admired or respected. Could have been bosses. Sometimes those are friends. I remember I was friends with someone when I was younger who was very competitive and very critical, just like me. But I'm not like competitive like that. And hearing some awful things that were said was really like hurtful, right? So it's like sometimes people are not aligned because they're struggling, they're suffering, they're not grounded, they're not rooted, they're in it's like, I don't want to totally classify the state because that's too definitive, but it's important to love people and give them room to make mistakes. You have to give them room to fail. Maybe that person is just, they just can't meet you there. Maybe you're just not in the same place. That doesn't mean that you do not love that person. That doesn't mean, oh, whatever. What am I gonna say? I want to get my drink, but I don't want to get up. But I don't want to get up, but I gotta get up. That doesn't mean you sit on the couch and listen to me talk to you for 28 minutes. Maybe it does. Let's go say hi to my plant. This is my plant. It's been struggling a little bit. I'm not really sure, but I think it'll be okay. I have this like belief that you have to make things work for it, you know? That the plant has to struggle a little bit to gain some resilience, you know? Also, there's nothing wrong with being raw and honest and authentic. There's nothing wrong with being sexual. There's nothing wrong with breaking rules that you create for yourself. I'm not talking about like, you know, doing things that will harm people. That's not what I'm talking about. But the standards that you implement on yourself, you know, sometimes you have to give a little bit of wiggle room, because maybe you don't know exactly what it is you need until you do some shape shifting, right? Funny how other people make you see things about yourself that you wouldn't see. They also bring out interests that you have yet discovered, meaning things that you might have a predisposition to liking. For example, I'm just using the musician thing because I keep saying it. For example, you start dating someone, they're a musician, and you're like, you know, I really used to like this and I should do it because I want to do that and I love it. Then just do it, and that's okay. And imagine had you not spent any time with that person, regardless of how short or long it was, you would not have had that opportunity to discover that about yourself. This is what is so cool about other people and connecting with other people. And loving people, just loving people. It's like such an incredible thing to share in the reciprocation of someone else's love, whether that be music, basketball, literature, art, politics, cinema, philosophy, whatever. What the fuck ever. Just I think that's why I talk so slowly and like really think about it. It's like I am a listener. I love to listen to people. I love to share the love of people's interests. That's probably not the best way to say it. But to help, to heal, to love, to give space, to give silence. Sometimes you can be taken advantage of for that. As I try to look directly into the camera. Sometimes I'm taken advantage for that. So, this is also an important topic. This is such a long video. It's okay. I think that things that we might, well, situations where we might feel we were taken advantage of in situations in which we think we were taken advantage of. Okay. First off, don't take it personally, because it really doesn't help us at all. It's not helpful to reflect on it, to browbeat ourselves, to internalize it to the point of self-deprecation or of self-loathing or of that kind of thing. That's not good. But it does happen. And it does happen when it comes from people who we loved, who we trusted, who we were loyal to. That's hard. Look, I have to think so long about it to say anything. It's like, it's hard to not project that on someone else, that someone new, completely unrelated to a past situation, because it's still something that we're internalizing and healing from, right? All the tripods really bouncing. Damn. I have to claw it to my leg. Like, I'm literally gonna claw it to my knee. Oh. So it's still just wowie. Okay. I don't know. Right now, I have this love interest. And it's weird. I know it's not very serious, but it's serious enough to consider. One, it has to do with age, where we are in our lives. There's less time. There's less time to have a family. There's less time to settle down. There are less options. And people from your past become more... There's like a comfortable familiarity it's just nice. It's nice. It's grounding. Look, why am I getting emotional? I'm getting emotional about it. I don't even know why. It's grounding. I think because life is so difficult. And when we're younger, we're so unaware of how much we're going to have to go through to just get through, you know? So there's that. And then it's like, well, when you're younger, you're also like, it's almost like you're this is not necessarily true. These are not all like definitive, statements, but it's like you're less shaped by culture. You're less hardened. There's more peace. Not always. That comes in waves too, but there tends to be more of like a truth to who you were when you were younger, because everything was fresh. You knew what you liked, what you didn't like. Everything changes and everyone goes through different phases of growth, but it's like, I don't know, there's just something, and maybe everyone doesn't feel this way, because I guess if you had a really terrible childhood, then, or young adulthood or whatever, then you probably wouldn't want to go back to that time, but in this case, it's like I noticed things about him that are hidden, and that's okay. Like, we all hide things. But I also notice things about myself that I need, right? And so it's like you get to a certain age and you start to realize, okay, if you haven't developed into this type of person yet, then we might just not be able to mesh. Because if I'm trying to show up, be consistent, and be totally out there and direct, and the other person's not doing that, then that's where we come back to our consistent practices that reintegrate us and help us detach from this emotionally complex earth that we live in. So, with that, I am going to go meditate on the floor for a little bit. And that sounds so lame, but am I actually meditating? No. I'm just gonna lay there, probably. Am I gonna try to not feel things and think about things? Yeah. Are there different methods? Yeah. Am I trying to go there? No. Can we talk about those things sometime? Yeah. So, that is all.